Welcome to The Evidence-Based Marketer, a podcast focused on the science of marketing with a special emphasis on financial services. Whether you're looking to grow your business or provide a better client experience, we focus on how you can use data and research and time-tested strategies to be a more effective marketer.
Welcome to The Evidence-Based Marketer. I'm William Chettle, Director of Experience Engagement here at Symmetry Partners.
And I'm Andrea Loyne, Digital Marketing Strategist at Symmetry Partners.
So today we're going to talk about your digital ecosystem, which is simply any website, social media, etc., that occupies the digital realm. And increasingly, a lot of marketing in a lot of industries really is around your digital ecosystem because that's primarily how people are going to find you, qualify you, refer you, and frankly, do a lot of self-education before they decide to make the call. So we're going to look at some best practices around digital, the digital world, your digital ecosystem, some stats I think are going to be very illuminating and provide, we hope, some useful color and direction.
Agreed. The pandemic really changed things. Before the pandemic, though, a digital presence was necessary. There were still businesses surviving without the digital presence, through referrals or through people, just walking in. But after the pandemic, it's become kind of table stake to have some kind of digital presence. You have to. People now know that, okay, I need this. The first place they're going to look is online. And if you don't have a website or you don't have one that really says what you do, you're gonna probably be passed over, and people aren't going to find you. You're missing out on a lot of business. Fidelity actually did a study recently that. And investors, again, for financial advisors who were, found new advisors or switched advisors. 34% mentioned that they used social network to find their new advisors. They went on to Facebook, LinkedIn, and things like that. And 29% found them in just going to Google. So while you don't want them to pick you off of Google, you want them to, they're going there to figure out who you are and really, what you do. And it's important that you're there.
I ran into a financial advisor the other day, fairly successful out in the Pacific Northwest, no website, no LinkedIn page, nothing. And it's like my first conversation with him, I had to ask him all the things that he does. Who is he? Because it's just not available. And frankly, in our day and age, it seems it raises red flags because it's either he doesn't care, he's hiding something, or it is just he's too small scale to actually be able to serve a meaningful number of clients.
Well, and it shows people you're adaptable, right? Even if you don't think your business needs a website, because up until today you haven't needed it, you're also dealing with a whole new, breed of people that are coming, age of people that are coming out. And you have to be able to work with everyone, not just the people who are going to walk into your office. You have to be out there for everyone to find. And if you're not doing that, people are not going to trust you, right? They're going to, like you said, think you're hiding something, right?
Yeah.
Should I not be able to find them?
And it's across businesses, restaurants, if they don't have a website, unless there's some food truck posting on Facebook, I tend to be a little bit dubious. And even great providers, like I have some folks who've repaired my roof lots of times and they don't have a website, and I love them, but they're really hard to refer.
Exactly. Because the second you refer them to somebody, my first question, and I didn't even know that I did this until a friend of mine was like, I don't know. Why would you want their website? I was like, well, do they have a website? I want to go find them. I want to see what they do, especially if I've been doing my own research, right? Let's compare them. And you do that online. Heck, there's a lot of things out there you can actually click the little compare button and it will compare things for you online. So
yeah. And what's interesting is, because we are talking about your whole digital ecosystem, it's not just your website, it is your social media. And, there's a fascinating stat if we're looking at financial advisors. Basically, it's about a third of investors actually check out the financial advisor's personal Facebook page before deciding to work with that person. And unfortunately, about half decide, based purely on the personal Facebook page, it's not even their business Facebook page, I don't want to work with this person.
Maybe they should make that private.
Yeah. And for people under 40, I think it's 2/3 check out the financial advisor's personal page, and then 2/3 make the decision not to work with. And I can't imagine what they're seeing or not seeing there, but it's one of those things you just have to be aware that anywhere you're showing up online, whether it's personal or professional, people who are curious about working with you are probably going to be checking that out, especially if you're in a service business. Do I care about the personal Facebook page of, someone who might come and, give me a new shower or put in a new bathtub or something like that? No, probably not. But if I'm going to be working with a professional like a financial advisor for years to come, I kind of want to know a bit about who this is as a person.
That's very true. I had a deck installed recently, and I went to his personal page to see if anyone had complained. So I am guilty of going to personal Facebook pages and looking, and I want to see if they had any complaints on it.
Yeah, but what is interesting, like, okay, so he's putting in a deck, no big deal, as long as it comes well referred, etc. But if you'd gone there and seen lots of drunken parties or something like that, it's like, do I want this person, on my property repairing my deck, so I can have drunken parties with confidence that it's not going to collapse.
Yeah, the thing about having your digital presence, though, and by digital presence, like William said, it's everything that's online, is you don't want to just show up there. You want to be a player. You don't, there's one thing to have a social media account, but you want to make sure you're active on it as well, because people are going to look at that too. So don't just put any old website up. Make sure it shows who you are and what you do very clearly and upfront. And same with your social media. Make sure that you show who you are, what value you give to your advisors or your clients, because in the end, that's what they're looking for in the first place anyway. So don't just show up, but be a player.
And be consistent. This is something that is a big kind of bugaboo for me, is that I'll go to an advisor or professional's website and look at their social media, their LinkedIn, et cetera, and it looks like there are a whole bunch of different firms. And one of the fastest ways to gain trust is through consistency, doing what you say you're going to do, looking the same, having the same messaging, etc. And this is so easy to control. And this is the thing about so much evidence-based marketing, is it's actually very much in your control. This is not random stuff that, like, stock markets that are kind of beyond our power to predict or influence. This is something that you just need to take an afternoon and make sure the pictures are the same, image is the same, messaging the same. But it's really, really important, because people will be looking at you across all these various platforms, and you want to have the same kind of at least general content there.
Well, yeah, you want to look like you're at least the same company.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it looks like there's 3, 4, 5 different companies going on.
Yeah, and it's little things like, your title on LinkedIn should be the same as the title you have on your website, but should also explain to your prospects and your clients exactly what you do. You don't want it to say, Director of Experience and Engagement. No, when you're in marketing, you can. But you want it to show what you do. Are you a financial advisor? Are you a wealth management advisor?
And this is actually super critical, because we're going to talk about search in other episodes, but LinkedIn, if someone's looking for a financial advisor and your title is founder or partner or chairman, whatever it is, you're never going to show up as a financial advisor. And so it's really, really critical to use the terms that people are going to search for you by. And so if you are, partner or founder, be partner and financial advisor, so that when people are searching, that they'll be able to find you. Because at a certain level, search engines are dumb. They may be getting a little smarter, but they kind of go off what is there. And I remember talking to a financial advisor who was complaining, like, when you search for my firm, we don't show up. And I asked, and I went and looked at his page, and he didn't have the words financial advisor or wealth manager, even retirement on his homepage. So how is Google going to know that this is the profession that he's chosen?
Yeah, there's a lot of tools out there too. You can look at the keywords people are searching for around that. So, if you're a financial advisor, you can put in that, financial advisor keyword, but what are some other important keywords that they're looking at, when they're looking for a financial advisor? Or what are some keywords for your niche that maybe somebody, who's a heart surgeon wants to find a financial advisor that works with heart surgeons? Make sure that's on your website too, because, if I'm a heart surgeon, I have a lot of money to invest or want to talk to somebody about my money, I want someone that knows what I do and understands me and my specific problems. So if you do have that niche that you work with, you have to make sure that that is on there as a keyword too, so people can find you. Because again, you won't show up if someone makes that search.
Yeah. You want to be found. You want to be consistent. And you also want to be credible. And a key part of that actually is having a value proposition or a mission statement. And we've actually got tools here at Symmetry for folks who would like to craft a unique positioning statement or value proposition. But there's some really interesting research that was done by a partner firm, Dimensional, and they found that advisors with a value proposition had 40% higher asset growth, 30% lower client turnover, and 29% more clients over a 2-year period. And those are really, really significant. And I think it's not because a value proposition is some magic bullet that automatically creates business, but it is a great forcing function. It makes you think about what actually is the value I provide. It helps your staff understand what you're doing, and most importantly, it helps clients and prospects understand a little bit of what the experience might be with you. If you say that I'm a wealth manager focusing on widows and divorcees, well, that is which is a very basic value proposition, which could be improved. But if that is just it would help people understand. Okay, this is somebody who works with folks like me, or not with.
Right.
And that's
and
really
they understand what I need. I'm not going to have to go in and explain exactly what I need. They work with people like me. Yeah. And the big thing of, your staff can understand is you want your whole business to work the same and have the same value and mission that they're all working towards. So you want them to be able to, reiterate that behind the scenes. So when someone finds you on a website and sees your value proposition and they call your office, the people that pick up the phone are going to know that's your mission and know that's who you work with, and they're going to be able to immediately build that relationship. It doesn't have to be you; it can be your staff too.
Mm-hmm. And it's also important, and this is kind of basic blocking and tackling, just understanding who you're actually trying to serve. So part of that is contained by having the right value proposition, but also just, do you have an ideal client persona? And interesting research from Schwab found that if you had an ideal client persona, so you kind of know who you're working with or want to work with, and that client value proposition, in 2019, you attracted 28% more new clients and 25% more new assets. So, this is the kind of way we believe you can actually leverage evidence-based marketing. This is pretty compelling statistics, and it's not 100% guarantee. There's very few 100% guarantees in marketing, but you're putting the odds in your favor.
Mm-hmm. That's putting it in your favor, and then you can not only increase your business, you build your marketing around that. And that game of inches, like we talked about in our last episode, that's another inch you can gain, right? Now you have an ideal client you're targeting. You can actually build your messaging around that and gain even more by targeting those clients and having the right words and the right, feeling in your website for those folks.
Yeah, no, I have a friend I've worked with. He's an advisor out in Colorado, and he wasn't getting a lot of traction on his website. And then he made one change, but it was a significant change, and he suddenly started getting lots of hits and ultimately lots of requests for more information and appointments. And he simply added pages for the kinds of clients he worked with for the various niches. So there were, academics, retirees, I think also for widows. So he had about 5 or 6 of these, and suddenly he was getting, again, lots more traffic. And it's because people could now see themselves and see that he could help them. And there were simple pages. There was probably 3 or 4 paragraphs on each of these. But if you're an academic in Colorado and you're looking for, financial advice or wealth management for academics, he's going to come up. And if my choice is between an advisor who has this expertise and one who doesn't, I'm going to go with the advisor with expertise all day long. And so the digital realm is an amazing place for showcasing your expertise and any areas of specialty you have.
We work with an advisor who said something that has kind of stuck with me now recently. And he said, prospects don't care what you know until they know that you care. And the way that you show that you care is having an interest in their specific needs and having that niche and showcasing it, right? They're going to be searching for you online. If they don't immediately see that you care for what they do and the problems that they have, they're going to move on to the next one. So why not showcase it out there and break it down so that they know?
And if you have specialized knowledge, that's super valuable. And this is the whole advantage of niches. And we'll be doing a special podcast on niches, but this is across industries. Having specialization and good content and expertise for that specialization is such a powerful differentiator.
Well, and it can the relationship is huge, right? So while we are becoming this digital, machine, right? Everybody needs to be in that digital ecosystem. You can use that to help build that personal relationship as well. Use your social media, use the things people are downloading on your website to get to know them. Go to their social media and see do they have certain hobbies or things that they like to do or a favorite sports team, and note those things in your contact management system. It may seem, you know, ancillary. It may not be something that's important, but to them, they may be a diehard. We have a couple diehard Giants fans here. They might be a sports fan, and then you can you can start to talk about that with them and build a relationship outside of talking about investments and products or whatever that you have. But make sure you capture that in your CRM, and you can use LinkedIn to see who your ideal target client, who do they know, who could they make an introduction to you for. So it can be a powerful tool, for you putting your brand out there, but it can help you to build that relationship with the client too.
Yeah, and I would say that anytime a prospective client in whatever business you are in is coming in for a meeting or you have a call with them, look them up on social media. Find those points of connection that you have, because it's much better to start a conversation by saying, hey, I saw that you're a Giants fan and I'm a Giants fan, or you're not a Giants fan, I'm not a Giants fan, or you went to the same school or have the same philanthropies, whatever it is. Find those points of commonality. There's a fascinating study done at a university, and they broke MBA students up into two groups. And the first group, they said, get down to negotiating right away. And the second group, they said, before you start negotiating, find something that you have in common with the other group. Well, no surprise, the group that said, find something you have in common with the other one had significantly better results with better outcomes for both parties than the one that was told to get down to negotiating right away. This is a powerful principle of what we call liking, and we like people who are similar to ourselves. And so the social media allows you to do that. And then anytime a client is coming in, or you have a meeting with them, look them up. I mean, it's much nicer to begin a conversation saying, hey, I was just on Facebook and I saw you just got back from a trip to visit your granddaughter. How was it? Than just saying, okay, let's look at your account.
Yeah, and if your staff is also doing it, if you have a dedicated staff member on social media, that's great. But a lot of us don't have that. You can still just jump on there and see, oh, such and such just had a grandbaby. Do we send them something? Are they that client that we send something to? Do we just note it in the system to mention at their next meeting? And it's going to mean a lot because grandkids mean a lot. You want to make sure graduations are big, things like that.
And you could even set up in Google alerts for some of your best clients. Now, obviously, if they're retirees living in the woods, there's probably not going to be a Google alerts on them. But if they're professionals, the chances are they're going to, from time to time, they're going to get quoted somewhere or show up. And so it's really great, when Google alerts you and say, oh, gosh, I saw that, you've been promoted or you were quoted in, Widget Weekly. And so people love it when you pay attention.
Especially when they've done something, credible like that. You want to make sure you highlight that for them. The advisor that I used to work with, most of the beginning of the meeting, I'd say the first half hour of the meeting was, chit chat about the family, about his family, because they had come to know him as well and his children. And then maybe the last half hour was on the investments and where they want to go. If they were close to retirement, maybe it was the last 45 minutes. But, for the most part, it was catching up on, life with them. So.
The number one reason most people are with their current financial advisor, and I think this is probably true of a lot of professionals, is just chemistry. They like you, and things like this personal touch, these connections, really help reinforce chemistry.
They do.
So, this is certainly a powerful way, and the insights you can get are incredible, and obviously they're more powerful if you act on them and do things with them. Another thing that is important is this concept called COPE, which is create once, publish everywhere. And I often ask folks, how hard is your brand working for you? And that's a question very few people can actually answer. And one of the things about the digital realm is you can actually, if you take the time to look at your metrics, you can actually answer how hard it is working for you. And create once, publish everywhere really is a way to maximize good content. So let me just give you an example of something. There's an advisor I know who works with employees at Boeing. That's one of his big focuses. And this actually started out, again, using his digital ecosystem. When we looked at LinkedIn, realized he had about 5 or 6 clients at Boeing who knew 2,000 people at Boeing. So you got 5 or 6 people who know 2,000 people. That's powerful. That's great insights. And so we developed. They were changing their benefits plan at the point. And so we developed like a one-pager that you could share with the 5 or 6 to the 2,000. Now he's got so many that they have an annual event. But if you go to his website, there is, amongst other things, there's a white paper on understanding the benefits plan at Boeing. And this is just one example. It could be anything. It could be 5 strategies for a more successful retirement. It could be 3 wealth challenges for doctors. It could be even just a retirement checklist, or we've developed something here called a Live to 100 checklist.
Just a resource that's there for your
right.
clients and prospects.
Right. Something that adds value, something that shows that you've got something that people would be interested in downloading. And so you put it on your website, and it works for you 24/7. And if people download it, they get an email from you with a link and a little bit more about your firm, and then you do a little bit of a drip on them, probably 3 or 4 emails over the course of a couple of months, and then perhaps even a call. But that's just the beginning. So you've got this great guide to retirement at Boeing, retirement checklist, whatever. Create once, publish everywhere. Maybe you do a blog about it. If you do a podcast, you do a podcast about it. Why not turn it into a client presentation? And with all these things, if you do a presentation, you can send that out. You can email out the fact there's a presentation. You can promote it on your website. Record the presentation. Now you've got something you can post on YouTube, and then you can also promote that on social media, on your website, et cetera, et cetera. And so you've taken this one bit of content and you've turned it into at least 5 or 6 different things, promoted it across probably about 10 or 12 channels, and you could literally get a year or 2 of content out of it. There's talking to an advisor the other day. He said about 6 or 8 timeless videos he's created that are investor education. And what he just does in rotation, promotes them through social media, on his website, and his newsletter, etc. And the people who've seen him, well, maybe they'll watch it again, but he's always in front of new people or people who just don't remember exactly what was in there. And so he's able to leverage this one video again and again and again.
And it might not be timely at the moment for the person, right? But if they continue to see it over and over again, there's going to be a point in their life that maybe it is timely, and it's going to just remind them, I should give them a call and see what's going on with that.
So this is a really powerful concept. I mean, a lot of times people struggle with, well, I just don't have the time to create a lot of content. And we've got some things that actually you can white label at Symmetry for a financial advisor, but literally creating a checklist, like a 20 question checklist, is something that could be turned into so many communications and so much lead generation fodder, frankly. So really powerful concept, and this is one of the ways you maximize your digital ecosystem. And again, put it everywhere. If it's on your website, you put it on LinkedIn, tweet about it, put it on Facebook, etc.
And that's how you really get everything working for you. And another way to make all of that, work even harder for you is you can offer it to them for a free download, and then you just, go to them after, or you gate it. And what we mean by gate it is you put it behind a form. And you don't want to ask, their pets' names, and you don't want to get all, your great grandmother's, last name, but you want to ask them for their first name, their last name, and at the very least their email, maybe their phone number. But, a small gate like that puts them right into your contact management system, and you're able to do those drips on them and make your brand work for you while you're sleeping. Somebody's going to download your checklist at 10 p.m. Let them do it.
Yeah, and the good news, again, in the digital realm is that you can actually measure all this. In the old days, I know advisors we talked about ads on golf carts. We've talked about, I know advisors used to spend a fortune on brochures. They'd spend $20,000 on a beautiful, high-end, glossy brochure. There was no way really to measure the impact of it. It was all anecdote. And the nice thing about the digital realm is very little anecdote and lots of evidence.
That's very true. That's very true. And, it'll even tell you down to when's the best time, or when are people on your website downloading this content. When is the best time to post to social media? You'll start to see a trend of when, if you post at 2 p.m., do 2 people download? But if you post at 6 p.m., 25 people download? Well, that should tell you post more at 6 p.m. So you can take all of these things that you're doing and analyze them and look at the trends that are going on to really maximize everything working together for you, again, when you're not.
And just in wrapping up, we've talked a lot about digital, and certainly it's increasingly important. But the other thing just to remember is that, especially as we start to come out of the pandemic, is that social interactions, face-to-face contact with people is also really, really important. For financial advisors, Matt Oxley's done some really interesting research on if you have a business social relationship with your clients, you're going to be much more likely to have them refer business to you. They're going to stay with you longer, bring in more assets. People like to do business with people they regard as friends and social contacts. And so don't forget that. And it's, it's great to take people out to lunch, and it's great to have events for people. And it's great to, Matt Oxley always advocates, ask clients around to have dinner at your place. And again, it bring again that idea of that personal touch and just showing up as a real relatable human being. And I think it's much more enjoyable in any business if you're friends with your clients.
It makes life a lot easier too. You're talking money with people, or you're talking, sensitive things with people. You want to know that you have a relationship with them and trust. And it helps, goes a long way to build trust.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you'd like to see other past episodes of our podcast and like to find out more about the Evidence-Based Marketer, just go to theevidencebasedmarketer.com. Our next episode is going to be on the exciting topic of optimizing social media to generate leads. Andrew's going to do the heavy lifting on this and really cover how you can use social media to generate more business. And until then, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Evidence-Based Marketer from Symmetry Partners. If you have any questions, suggestions, or would like more information, please visit us at theevidencebasedmarketer.com.
Symmetry Partners LLC is an investment advisory firm registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission. The firm only transacts business in states where it is properly registered, excluded or exempted from registration requirements. No one should assume that future performance of any specific investment strategy, product, or non-investment related content made reference to directly or indirectly in this material will be profitable. As with any investment strategy, there is the possibility of profitability as well as loss. Due to various factors, including changing market conditions and/or applicable laws, the content may not be reflective of current opinions or positions. Please note the material is provided for educational and background use only. Moreover, you should not assume that any discussion or information contained in this material serves as the receipt of or as a substitute for personalized investment advice.
Please note that nothing either stated or implied on this podcast is intended to be compliance or legal advice regarding your marketing program.